Well, good evening, fellow YouTubers, and welcome to another grand and glorious episode of Arizona Podcast, starring I, your host, Mr. Arizona. It is now let's see, it is now I have no idea. It's December 31st, but I just don't know what day it is. Oh, it's Sunday, December 31st, 2023. The last day of 2024, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. It trying to figure out how to share this link out. Not having a good time with it right now. So just give me a minute. All right, I shared out the link. Now, I want to see if I can do something else real quick. So, I don't know how to put this. I'm not sure how to put it on subscriber mode only. I don't know how to do it. Trying to. Wait, I think I figured it out. There we go. I got everything straightened out. Well, Happy New Year's, everybody. I hope everybody's having a safe and pleasant New Year's. Wow. This 2023 for me has been it's been one of the most toughest years I have ever experienced. We've gone through a lot of problems, and we've had a lot of successes. We've lost people, but we've gained people. I would say 2023 has been it's been a complete teeter-totter. Of just all different kinds of things going on. Now, what am I going to take from this year that's going to help me in the upcoming year? Well, I'm going to try and turn this channel into more of an intellectual channel and more of a philosophical channel. Even though it doesn't really fit the drama community here, does it? Hey, Sissy Poos, how you doing? Happy New Year. Let me drop the link if anybody wants to come up and talk or just hang out or let me see if I can post it real quick. going to try and attempt it to do it from my computer. I don't know. No, it's not letting me on my computer. I'm going to have to do it on my phone. So just hang on a second. Just hang on. There you go. That was the link that was shared out. And people are welcome to come up. Not a big deal. Like I said, this year's been a pretty testy year. A lot of upheaval has been going on. A lot of changes have been going on. And as I stated earlier, I'm going to turn this channel into a more intellectual channel, more of a philosophical type of nature, which is kind of, I should say, it's kind of a bit unusual for a channel like this, for in the midst of utter chaos. It's all right, sis. No problem. In fact, I would like to share with you some elaborations that I have that I've done with my sister. She and I have actually had a very stimulating conversation. And you know, I actually find good conversation a rarity on this platform. And I'm about to talk about it. Let me get my microphones and stuff. Hold on. Now, what I'm going to explain to you here is what I think the true definition of a new year really is. the true intricacies of what New Year's really means. At least in my opinion. Which, my opinion, is what you call the, should I say, the anomaly, or the black sheep of the drama community. Because the way I think about it, the way I see it, it rivals popular opinion. It rivals popular, should I say, ingoing and outgoing thoughts and views, should I say. It rivals it because it's different. It rivals it because I dare to be different. I push away the normal and I go into the abnormal. Because you see, people that are accustomed to drama daily, as to yelling, screaming, hooting and hollering and name calling, those are all customary features. See, people that have continual destruction, continual dysfunction in their lives and their places of business, or even in their place of residence, are utterly used to dysfunctional situations, such as yelling, screaming, all of that. People have become accustomed to that kind of feeling, accustomed as to the way it makes you feel, to the way it sets you in a certain physical or metaphysical mode. For instance, in an extreme situation, you feel charged. You feel like you can manipulate mountains, so to speak. Move mountains, conquer galaxies, etc., etc., etc. When really the only galaxy that you need to conquer is yourself. And the many, many versions of you that are out there. I'm going into a philosophical conversation. And it's going to actually be pretty interesting. And I will do that in just momentarily. Once again, I'm making the transition from a simple live stream to a all-out, in-depth conversation, you see. And that's what a lot of people, especially of this community, refuse to hear, refuse to listen to, because they want to listen to dysfunction. They want to listen to destruction. They want to listen to utter chaotic events because they themselves live in utter chaos. They live in utter disarray. Maybe it's dysfunction with their families. Maybe it's dysfunction with their family, with their friends. Or maybe it's solo only destruction and dysfunction amongst themselves. Because, hold on, I'm just going to try these mics out real quick. I don't have one microphone working yet. I don't know why. Probably because I don't have the earphones on. Hold on. Try to turn on these earphones. Just give me a minute, folks. Okay. Let me test. Yep. I do have one set of earphones working correctly. I'm about to have the second set just momentarily, and then I'll connect it. Just a moment. Okay. I think I'm set here. I'm going to turn the echo down a little bit. Now I'm going to connect up my mic and my soundboard and all of that good stuff. So just kind of bear with me. See, what I'm doing is merely making a transition from what you are listening to now to what you're listening to currently. There's a little bit of a difference, you see. Hold on, I'm going to get into this. Now, these are things that not very many people speak on because they find it boring. They find it unentertaining. But yet the very thing that I'm about to speak on is the very thing that needs to be spoken about. Oh, it's okay. Now, can everybody hear me good? I'm going to go check my audio to see if everything's going good. Okay. I know I know the audio is good because I can actually see the little green mark going up all the way. So that means my audio is perfect. Okay. Here is my definition Welcome back, Sissy Poos. But here is my definition of the coming year. The coming of the year is a simple transition, a simple transformation, because it's the mere end of one era and the beginning of another, you see. And so therefore, one must really think, what am I going to leave behind in the past, and what am I going to take with me towards the future? Have you ever heard of the stages of a butterfly? It starts off as an egg, and the egg hatches, and the larvae within it begin to consume leaves and grow, and then it pupates, and then it emerges into a completely different form, a completely different type of creature, because it is no longer a caterpillar anymore. It's actually a beautiful butterfly that works on the construction of plants instead of the destruction. It's there to help pollinate flowers so that the seeds can propagate. So therefore, a caterpillar has I believe it has 3 to 4 stages that it has to go through in order to obtain adulthood. It goes from egg to larva to adult. So it goes through those 3 stages to become an adult. Well, my interpretation of the coming a year is something similar to that. It's something similar as, well, the year that was will go and disappear. And the year that is yet to come will take its place. It's almost like the past is disappearing and the future is taking its place. Kind of like when the caterpillar turns into a butterfly. It morphs from one creature to another. We do the same thing. We go from one year to the next. Now the question is that we must ask ourselves daily, what am I going to take with me, and what am I going to leave behind? Now I personally, as of 2023 for me has been a very somewhat challenging year. It's had its ups and downs, lefts and rights, stops and goes, and many, many other things that go with that year. But what am I going to take with me towards the next year? Well, technically I'm already doing it. I'm kind of metamorphosizing from a caterpillar to a butterfly. I'm merely just spreading my wings, and out I emerge with the coming year. Now, am I going to hold this position? By all means, I could. And I will. Because I set it in my mind to do so, so therefore, it will happen that way. Now, mind you, it will not happen picture perfectly. There's no way. That's impossible. There is no way in the world anything can happen picture perfectly. That's an impossibility. The only way things can happen is, to me, they have to happen naturally, for one, and they have to happen organically, for two. Which, simply put, I'm going to be myself, but I'm going to be a better, a more emerged version of myself. At least, I'm going to give it the old college try. Now, you've got to give me a little credit where credit is due. Because I myself, I'm not a robot. And I never claimed to be one. Nor will I ever think I am one. But I am, as you say, somewhat human. And so therefore, I have pitfalls and flaws as any other human being on the face of this earth. I have defects as many, many other people have. I have strengths and I have weaknesses, as many, many other people have as well. I could be strong in some ways, and I could be weak in another way. But it's through our strengths and weaknesses which make us the beautiful people that we are today. Now, Alan Watts. I would, sis, I'm going to actually share with you a live stream of Alan Watts. Now, Alan Watts, to me, is one of the most intelligent, intellectual thinkers that I have ever come across on this platform. Because he thinks of things but he thinks of things in such a way that it is almost alien to a platform such as this. Because no one in this drama community has ever experienced an intellectual being such as him, nor have they even heard his name, especially in a drama community. Because, you see, people believe, which is most prominent in this community, it's almost comical, that people believe in this platform in sheer destruction and utter chaos. But out of the chaos comes organization, comes sensible thinking. Because think about it, when your emotions are high and your adrenaline's pumping, you're not really thinking of simple things to say, simple things to do. No. You're only thinking of the here and the now, the right now and the present. That's all you're thinking about right now. I mean, it's kind of like dropping a plate. Dropping a plate on the ground. When you drop a plate, what happens? The gravity pulls it down, and it falls on the ground and breaks into a million pieces. Then you're spending a good portion of the night, or the day, or whatever you call it, trying to dispose of those pieces, trying to clean them up, remove them. Because if the pieces in question are not removed, what happens? You wind up stepping on them and getting them stuck in your foot and creating other problems. You see, by simply removing one problem, you remove the secondary problem that goes with it. The primary problem is the broken glass on the floor. And what are you going to do? Painstakingly trying to put everything together, right? But you realize that that act is an act of futility. That is an act of impossibility. There is no way that you can ever put broken pieces back together. The best thing to do is to throw them away and start fresh. Start a new beginning. Start a dawn. As in the rise and fall of the sun, or the moon, or even the moving of the planets or the earth itself. The earth itself spins in a constant direction. That's why day comes to night, and night comes to day. Winter changes to summer. Summer changes to winter. Winter changes to spring, and so on and so forth. Changing of the seasons and many, many other good things. But you know, I found one thing that's constant. As I've stated before, which is time. Time is always neither against us or for us, but ticks away precisely as it means to. Time does not wait for you, nor does it wait for me. But it continues on, regardless of whether you're at the party or not. The party still happens. Regardless, it still goes on, you see. The party still happens, whether you're there to see it or not, whether you're there to witness it or not. Because the endless cycles still keep occurring. Death is to life, life is to death, etc., etc., etc. It still keeps going on. It still keeps happening over and over and over, a repeated cycle. You see? Kind of like random thinking. You know, random thinking is actually, I would say, random thinking is the most free thinking that any man, woman, or child can ever do. Because it's not only a rebellion against one thing or one particular entity or one particular person. No, it's a rebellion against everything. Because they simply need a factory reset. They need a place where they can start over. You know, you ever remember we used to play games when you were a kid, and they used to say, do over, let's start over, okay, you're it, okay, you're it, let's start over. You see? You mess up, you start again. You mess up again, you start again. And you keep restarting, until finally you realize, what in the hell am I doing with myself? Why am I repeating the same cycle over and over and over again repeatedly, with no end and no beginning? And yes, you're hearing fireworks outside, and no, I'm not going outside to see it. Fuck that shit. And so, anyway, as I recited, I'm not a perfect man. I don't claim myself to be. I don't claim myself to be higher than you. I don't claim myself to be lower than you, but I'm right at eye level, as we should be as men and women of this world, of this country, of this beautiful place that we live in. And it's true. Think about it. We live in the world's most richest society that God has ever created. We have access to knowledge, resources, and intelligence that we ourselves have never explored before. We have access to a great deal many things in this world. It's just that we restrict ourselves. And through these restrictions is what stunts our physical, mental, and spiritual growth within ourselves. Because we, as human beings, are scared, afraid of trying new things, afraid of going different directions, afraid of going against the grain, away from the norm. That's what we're scared of. That's what we're really, truly afraid of. Is going against the grain. Sis, if you want, you could take subscriber mode off if you want to, or leave it on, it doesn't matter. I just did that to piss off the trolls, which worked. But, like I said, it's all quite interesting, if you think about it correctly. That we go through endless cycles constantly throughout our lives, every day, daily. Some of us have daily rituals that we go through every single day. Some of us go through, daily routines, schedules, everything. Because without schedules, without some form of organization, there would be chaos everywhere. Because think about this. This world is the most complex world ever created, because there is many, many different minds, different sets, different ways, everything, all working constantly together, simultaneously. And we are all working towards one common goal. Sis. Thank you, Messias. My sister's the best. But anyway, I'm learning to speak this way because to me it's kind of where I feel most comfortable. Kind of where I feel, should I say, my zen, or my height of intellect. See, when I speak this way, I could speak for hours on end because this is my strong point. This is where I feel that I make the most sense. Where I can make order out of a chaotic environment. If there is such thing. I mean, this world is filled with so many different things that I don't think you'd be able to cover it all in one lifetime. I mean, it's like going to an ice cream parlor, trying out all different types of flavors. You could stay there all day and still not have tried all different flavors of ice cream. Because there's constantly a new flavor coming out every day, daily. So therefore, once one flavor is out, the whole entire menu changes. And therefore, all new flavors come out. And then you're like, oh, I've got to try those. But then once you're done trying them all, oh, more new flavors come out. And then you're like, oh, great, now I have to try all these. And it's just a constant, endless cycle of trying this, trying that, trying everything. And you never get tired. You never get wore out. Because your senses are constantly being engaged. Your sense of taste, your sensation, is constantly being engaged. Constantly being triggered. Like, I'm getting a strong flavor of vanilla or chocolate. Oh, this pineapple one sounds good. Maybe I can try that. Oh, look, there's a mint one and a peppermint one. Maybe I should try both of those. And then you get this tantalizing feeling of, this tastes good. This tastes good. Because you're getting a tantalizing sensation within the senses. Your sense of taste, your sense of smell, and also senses in the eyes as well. Because visual is half of the presentation. Then it's the smell. Then it's the taste of the item. But visual is the very first thing in any good presentation, is the visual. It's the physical presentation that you show right in front of everybody. For instance, if I was to dress in a suit and tie and start speaking, you would say this: there's a man that knows what he's talking about. There's a man that I enjoy listening to, that I enjoy watching, that I enjoy talking to, just from the way he looks. But when he opens his mouth and starts speaking, then now your way of thinking is slowly changing. Because the way the gentleman is speaking is nothing compared to the way he looks. Because of the way he looks, in your eyes, he is flawed, flawless. complete. But when he speaks in short, choppy sentences. Or sometimes he speaks nonsense. And you're like, what? Then your idea of that person changes. Because he uttered one syllable. Therefore, the whole entire mood changes. And you go from really liking this gentleman to really disliking this gentleman. All because he opened his mouth and spoke. Then when the conversation is done, then your opinions conflict themselves. Well, I really like this gentleman the way he looked, but I don't like what he talked about. But then something that he said struck me. And now my opinion has changed once again. Consistency around anyone is almost non-existent. Because the human mind is constantly changing. Feeling, emotion, even thought process. It's actually quite amazing. If you really want to know. I find the process very fascinating indeed. Because I think of us as very complex creatures on a very complex scale. That is immeasurable, beyond anything that anyone can ever possess. Because we have something that most other life forms do not have. We have a sense of reasoning. We have a sense of a thinking ability that surpasses other life forms on this planet. We have a sense of structure, a sense of ingenuity that is unsurpassed in any other life form on this planet. We have the ability to build the most complex machinery and the complex living quarters that the world has ever seen. We have actually developed machinery that operates on itself. For instance, when you go to the ER and are about to be operated on, pretty soon it will be all automated to where all one has to do is punch in the instructions on the computer and then the robotics do the work. And that's the end of that. We are slowly approaching the robotical age. the age of technology, the heightened age of the mechanical era. Thank you, Sissy Poos. I appreciate that. But it's true. We are on the cusp of mainly being reliant on complex machinery and computers to do everything. Pretty soon, when you go up to, should I say, a fast food restaurant or a fast food establishment, imagine it just being like a vending machine. You just press your selection, and then 5 minutes later, out it comes, hot and fresh. You would never know that it was made by a machine. Because it was already pre-packaged and ready for your consumption. Which, once again, fits the society. Because the society is, I want it now. I don't want to wait. I want it now. I want it right now, in my hands, right this very second. People have a zero patience. We're in a zero patience type of world. And that's not what we grew up with. But now in today's society, we don't care about excuses, we want results. We want to hear about the outcome. We don't care about how you're going to do it. We care about getting the job done now. Not 5 years from now. They want it now. Well, here's the problem with rushing things. When you rush things, what do you get at the end of it? You get flawed machinery, you get uncooked food, etc., etc., etc. You see, if you want something good in this world, why rush it? Why not be patient for it? Why not wait and let it come to you in its own time, in its own place? But that's not what society wants. What society wants is, we don't want excuses, we want results. And when those results aren't produced right away, they go to someone that can. And therefore, that other person cuts corners, they leave things out, but they produce the result. Now we go into quantity versus quality. Now that's something else, isn't it? That's something where we go a little bit deeper. For instance, you take two trash collectors. They're both doing the same job at the very same time, but one gets done quicker than the other one. And one finishes in his own time. And here's the reason why. One chooses quantity over quality, and the other one chooses quality over quantity. So therefore, one is doing its job, and the other one is just cutting corners. What happens when you build a house and you cut corners? It all falls down, right? It all falls down like a stack of cards, correct? But when you take your time to really, really put some thought into it, to really put some effort into it, your production is better than your outcome. So that means, to me, to a person like me, quality is way more important than quantity. I would rather take my time to do something right than to cut corners and have to go back to doing the same thing again and again and again, repeatedly on an endless cycle. Do something once and you never have to go back and do it again, as long as you do it right. You know, my father taught me, if you got something to do, do it, and do it right the first time around, so you don't have to go back and do it again and again and again in an endless cycle. You do it once, do it correctly, and you don't have to go back and do it again. See, my belief is this: don't do anything that you wouldn't want to sign your name to and say, I did that. I accomplished that. I accomplished that item or that task. That's very important in today's world. But you know, like I said, we are a want it now society. We don't want it later, we want it now. We don't want excuses, we want results. And that's, unfortunately, one of the flaws of a human civilization. Because there is such a high demand for fast technological advancement, we forget our general fundamentals of what makes us human, of what makes you, you, and me. We neglect to remember that. Because we're so busy in our own lives, in our own cycles, that we forget what it's like to be human. We forget what it's like to be to be free. We forget what it's like to be ourselves. We get ourselves lost in thought and in process through endless cycles and endless repetitive things over and over and over again. It's actually quite interesting, to say the least. I mean, think about it. It's like writing a play. You write the play just as you wrote it, but there's flaws in it. This word isn't spelled correctly. This wasn't spelled correctly. That one's misprinted, blah, 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 blah. So then what you do is you correct. You have to go back and correct those marginal errors. Well, if you take the time to write it correctly, without marginal errors, you don't have to go back. Do it right the first time, therefore you don't have to go back and do it again. And you don't get stuck in the same repetitive cycle over and over and over again. Because that's That's what a lot of us do. A lot of us get stuck in a rut, get stuck in the same repetitive cycle over and over and over and over and over again. And because why? Because we are afraid to jump out from it. We are scared to find out what's out there. We are scared to live outside of our own cycles, outside of our own minds, outside of our own ways of thinking. You know the old term, going outside of the box. That's what a lot of us today in this age are very intimidated with and very scared to do. It's like being on the top of a cliff and wondering if you should jump off. Well, I could say this. If you are sure of yourself and sure of your ability to function as a normal human being, then you know what? The only thing you have to fear is fear itself, which is your own doubts and your own thoughts and your own process. That's the only thing that you have to be afraid of. There's no need to say, what will she think? What will he think? Well, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but they're living their own lives. They're in their own little worlds. What you think is completely and totally different than what others think about you. Thank you, GBT. Welcome. Welcome. That's good, though. You see, GBT, he is an intelligent man in a chaotic system. And he has the power. All he has to do is snap himself out of it. Yep, that's exactly how I'm speaking. Yes. Happy New Year's, GBT. Well, see, that's a good question. That is a really, really good question. See, being nervous of yourself means being unsure of your own ability, of your own potential. See, nobody should be afraid of their own ability and their own potential. They should embrace it, they should enhance it, and they should learn to be self-aware of it. So therefore, each time it manifests itself, you can improve it. Whether it's a slow process or whether it's a rapid process. But just remember one thing, as the tortoise said to the hare, slow and steady wins the race. If you take your time at something, you can become good at it. If you take more time, you can become great. And it's true in many, many different ways. For instance, Mozart, it took him a long time to create a great work of art. It took him a lot of painstaking times, over and over and over again, until finally he got the result he wanted. He didn't care about the opinions of others. No. He only cared about what he thought in his own mind, about his own opinion. And that's what most of us need to do. Shut off the outside opinions and outside influences and focus on ourselves. Focus on us, on the inner person. Therefore, you can focus on the outer world, and bam, you've got it. You see, the outside world is in a constant state of change, consistently, through its ups and downs, piddles, and everything. It's in a constant state of upheaval, going up and down, like elevators, like, I would say like structures in a city. They go up and they get knocked down and they get rebuilt. They go up and they get knocked down and they rebuilt. In a constant state of rebuilding. So my question to you is simply put, does public opinion really mean anything to any of us? Or is it just what we think in our own minds, what public opinion really is? That's today's question. Does public opinion really matter? Me personally, I think it's not. I think public opinion doesn't really mean anything. Because we all have different ways of thinking, we all have different ways of feeling, we all have different ways of functioning. So many collective minds could never produce one way of thinking, one way of working, one way of operating. That's impossible. That's why one as an individual must determine. This is very important, ladies and gentlemen. You must determine, you yourself, whether or not you are doing the right thing or the wrong thing. That's up to individual opinion, not public opinion. Yes, laws were made to go by and to have some form of structure out of chaos. Yes, order out of chaos. It's the same way with general life. You have to have some kind of structure, some kind of thing to hold on to, something to start with. Just like building a great home, you have to have a strong foundation to build from, to manifest from. Only then, when you have the strong foundation of what you want, can you build it to exactly your specifications, to exactly what you want it to be. And it's true. Think about it. In general society, there is no building, home, or dwelling that is exactly the same as the other. Each one of them are different. Each one of them are unique in every way, shape, and form. And it's true. Some guy was saying, okay, let's talk about the rapture. This is very important. This what GBT said. He said some guy was saying rapture is 24. You see, that is should I say, let me see. That was a guy that was basically being a cook and throwing something into the pot just to see what would happen. He didn't really care whether anybody believed him or not. But some people just randomly say things just to see what would happen, like striking a match in a fire in a dry forest and not expecting it to burn. Of course it's going to burn if people allow it. But if you quench water on it right away, it can burn nothing. And therefore it just fizzles out. Well, here's what I think about these people and their so-called predictions of the end of the world and this and that. I think that's a crazy and silly way of thinking. Because if it truly was the end of creation as we know it, the earth would stop spinning, the sun would go out, and life would cease to exist. Would it not? But every single year, it's always the same repetitive cycle over and over and over again. Oh, the world's going to end in this year. Oh, the world's going to end in next year. Blah, 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 blah. When, in truth, nobody can actually predict the beginning or the end of anything. They can only make an assumption, a calculated guess. It's not final. Because if it was, we would have felt the consequences of that. Such as the earth stopping spinning, the sun would stop shining, things would stop growing, and people would stop functioning correctly. Well, that is true, though. Like I said, this man that created such a thought, he seems like a man that is not happy with himself, and so therefore must create something else in order to make himself look like something else when he's really no different than you or me. All these so-called predictions, every single year it's the same thing. Every single year it's the same endless cycle. Always somebody's going to say, oh, the world's going to end. The world's going to end. Oh, no, we're all going to die. Oh, all this is going to happen. All that's going to happen. When we wake up the next day and the earth is still spinning, the sun is still rising, things are still going on as usual. So when is this big end going to happen? Nobody really knows. We can only make an educated guess. But if it doesn't happen, then they say, well, maybe the stars were wrong. Maybe the things were not aligned correctly. You know, they backtrack on what they say. When truthfully, they cannot admit that, oops, we made a calculated error. We made a mistake. Because it's only right to be human. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with our flaws, because we embrace our flaws as well as our successes. We all have strong and weak points in life, and we all experience them daily, whether we believe it or not, whether we see it or not. Some of us live with our eyes shut, and some of us live with our eyes wide open. It just depends on how you see the world and how you see yourself in it. Because after all, your world is what you create of it. It could be a good world, it could be a bad world, it could be a happy world, it could be a sad world. It's what you create. It's what you put into it. It's uniqueness that makes us human, that makes us who we are as a dominant species on this earth. It's actually quite intriguing, if you ask me. Oh, I'll keep it up for you, GPT, no problem. I'll keep it up. Yeah, no problem. No problem, GPT. No problem at all. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and head out. So I wish you all a very happy and very memorable New Year's. And the next stream will be in 2024. And sis, I'll catch you on Hangouts as usual. And that way we can discuss matters even further. So you guys take care, much love, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace. And thank you for watching as usual.